vision received was that of blood cells, traveling throughout the body, supplying the much-needed oxygen and other nutrients to the differing members of the body to fulfill their purpose. Once the blood cells are spent, they must return back to the heart to be refilled before being sent out again and fulfill their purpose. Hello, brothers and sisters, friends of our Father's heart. I wanted to give a short introduction to kind of explain why I wanted to do this next series that is titled Life in the Supernatural. I met a brother in Christ over 20 plus years ago online, and the relationship that I've had with him, that I've developed with him over those many years, probably almost as long as I've been married, it's just made an impact on me spiritually. And it's been, I believe, a divine appointment for the Lord to kind of steer me in a direction that he wanted me to go. And my brother released a book within the last few years called Life in the Supernatural: Signs, Wonders, and Miracles in the Life of Rayford Strange. And when I read this book a few years ago, it made an impact on me and caused a hunger and thirst for more of the Lord and what he's capable and able and wanting to do in my life. And I believe that that impact can be spread further and wider. And so I wanted to give my brother a opportunity and a platform to reach a different audience than maybe what he's already connected with, in the hopes that his testimonies would also have a desired impact on the lives of other listeners. If you've listened to our Father's Heart for any period of time, you'll know that I believe that the testimony of Jesus in our life is a spirit of prophecy unto others. And so with that in mind, I hope and pray that the next few podcasts over the course of the next few weeks in July would really be a blessing to you and would really prompt you, would really, I don't want to say push you, but just maybe be a catalyst in you to really press in and seek God in a much deeper, more intimate, more desperate way. Because Jesus did say, "Greater works than these ye shall do." And I don't believe that the miracles and wonders and signs that followed the apostles confirming the word that they were speaking in the first century ceased. I believe God is doing today and has been doing for the last 2,000 years the same things that he was doing in the first century. So I hope that these next few podcasts will be a blessing to you as you listen, but more so in applying and doing the word that he's already given to us. Well, I want to welcome everyone to our podcast, and this is going to be a special podcast for all of you that are listening, that are faithfully coming and listening week after week. But this particular series is a special one for me because I get to introduce to you to two people that are very special to me. And it's a very interesting way that I've gotten to know them over the course of the last 10, 20 years. But my wife has come to know them as well, and she's here with me. So we're going to have all four of us here. But I want to introduce to you to a very strange family. Mm-hmm. And they happen to be named Rayford and Marie Strange. And I'm going to, since you guys have never met them, and I know them, but I hope that by the end of this podcast, you will come to know them and realize what a blessing they are to the body of Christ. I'm going to kind of introduce you to them by using something that they wrote in a book that they released in 2019 called Life in the Supernatural. And that's going to be what this series is called for however long it's going to be. We're just going to call this Life in the Supernatural. And it's about the signs and the wonders and the miracles in the life of, the title of the book is For Rayford Strange, but it's really Rayford and Marie's, because she's got some incredible testimonies herein as well. So let me just read you a little bit about our special guest. He was born in 1940, and you can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm reading it straight from your book, so I doubt it's wrong. And he was born in Northeast Louisiana, Pentecostal pastor and cotton farmer. That was his father. And his dad said that they were so poor that they did not know when the Depression came or when it left. So he doesn't come from, high and lofty, richness, but he does come from a humble richness of spirit. And it's one of the things that really drew my attention to him. But he said here that nevertheless, his home, his upbringing in which he grew up was bathed in the sounds of daily prayer, and that sometimes very often went late into the night. This particular guest that we have is moved to New Orleans when he was still young. He graduated from Warren Easton High School, and he went into the United States Air Force, and he served in the military. And did you serve there for 9 years? For 9 years, he was in the Air Force, and he traveled the world in various different places. His last assignment was in Vietnam, and he served a 1-year tour of duty before being discharged in February 1967. So for all you mathematicians out there and you're trying to figure out, gosh, how old are these people? Well, we'll get to that a little bit later, but that'll give you some idea. And he got out of the Air Force, and then he was able to raise his 2 daughters. He had 2 daughters while he was in the Air Force, and after he came out of the Air Force, he then had 4 boys. So they've had 6 children. And he's been around the world preaching the gospel, both in Japan, is that right? And Vietnam, and obviously the United States of America. I think you said Mexico? And so we might get into all of that as we go along.
Burma.
And Burma, Kenya, that's right. And
Europe, everywhere. He
says here that he's never been a part or felt led to join any denomination. And every time he's entertained that thought, he's felt a constraint not to. He said he's been very independent and he's always maintained a proper spiritual leadership. And so for many years, he has actually been under the leadership of Pastor James L. Kilgore. If you're apostolic Pentecostal, you probably recognize that name, and that's already perked up your ears that you might want to listen now because you actually know that name. But he was also, before that, under another pastor that many of you old-timers might know, Pastor G.A. Mangum of Alexandria, Louisiana. And that was before 1962?
No. I went there in 1962.
Ah, okay. So in 1962, his pastor was G.A. Mangum. And now this particular guest right here, Elder Rayford Strange and his wife Marie, he's done tent, what do they call them? Tent camp? Not tent meetings. Tent revivals, which, for my generation, I'm Generation X, just doesn't know anything about no tent revivals. We've probably heard of them, but never really experienced them. In churches, in tents, in homes, in auditoriums, and even on the streets and all across the world, it has been his desire to lead any soul that he could to the bleeding side of the cross, as he says, and get people healed, to see them prospered by the power of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so he says at the end, Jesus Christ, in big caps, makes you whole. So with that introduction, I want to introduce you to Elder Rayford Strange and his wife, Sister Marie. Welcome. Do you guys have anything to say or share in your little introduction that I might have missed?
That was a very kind introduction. Thank you.
All right. So as I thought about doing this podcast, I wanted to use your book that you wrote called Life in the Supernatural to kind of share with you and introduce you to others. And as I went through the book, there were certain things that jumped out at me. It's sort of like when you read the scriptures and you read this whole chapter, but there's just like one verse that jumps out at you. And so when I was reading your book, these things jumped out at me, and I'm using them as kind of springboards to jump into our conversation. But the first thing I want to say about this book is that it's not like a regular book. If I had any aught with this book, it would be this, and this is what I want to share with you. It should have been a devotional. You know how they make devotionals where you kind of just read and meditate on that one verse for the day? Because I can go through all of these 46 different testimonies in this book, and there's one missing, which we might get to later, a 47th that I found out as we have been meeting with you for 24 hours. To me, it would have been, and I advise this to all those that will buy this book and read it for themselves, that you read it like a devotional, because there's so much meat, there's so much power in each testimony that I feel like if you just read it once in the morning, just one testimony, and just meditate on that impact for the whole day before you go to the next one, I think you might get a lot more out of it. So that's just a suggestion. But as I read your book and as I get into it, Rayford, you speak about your pastor, James Kilgore. And it was an acknowledgement that you had in the front of your book. And I want to give you the opportunity to share with us the impact that this pastor had on your life. He urged you actually to write this book that I'm holding in my hand. And you recorded his encouragement days before his actual going on to be with the Lord. I don't even like to say death. He went on to be with the Lord. So I just want to give you that opportunity because I know that you love the man very much.
Oh, there's no words to tell you how much I love Pastor Kilgore, and I get emotional every time I think about him.
Mm-hmm.
Precious man. So much love, so much humility. Gene Urshan, whose husband was the general superintendent of the United Pentecostal Church, said of Brother James Kilgore that he is more like Jesus than anyone that she had ever met.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. Brother Kilgore was so humble, so sweet, so kind. He never condemned anybody.
Mm-hmm.
He just loved everybody. And when I think of him, I think of the most loving, kind man that I've ever known. But when he preached, it was never an arrogant kind of sermon, always filled with so much humility. And I miss him so much even today.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes tears come to my eyes when I think of him. He has such a deep impact on my life and my faith as well. And I was established before I ever started going to church there
Mm-hmm.
in the apostolic doctrine. But he gave me some understanding about what it meant to love. And he brought me a long ways because I was very adamant about apostolic doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
But then meeting him, not that I became less adamant, but this component of love was mixed with it. And it's really impacted my life very deeply.
What year did you get to meet him or start to know him?
Many, many years ago. But only when we moved to Houston, that was like I forget, early part of 1980.
Okay.
We started going to church there. Well, we started going to another church first.
Right.
Pastored by Brother Carl Monroe Denny. The only reason we went there is because that was just a few blocks from where we lived. But as time moved on, we felt more led to go to Life Tabernacle, even though it's some 30, 40 minutes away, maybe not quite that far, maybe 30 minutes away, and started going to church there regularly. And that became my church for many years, from late 80s to right up until pretty close to, well, before he died. His son took the church, and of course this time we had moved out here.
Right.
And so, anyway, the man has such a tremendous impact, and I loved his ministry. It's just, you couldn't help but to love it, because he was just so humble. Even in the pulpit, just people drawn to him. That's how I was able to build that church so much love. One time, we went out to eat. He used to call me every now and then, every once in a while. But Brother Strange, meet me at the church. I'm going to take you out to lunch. And so I'd go meet him at the church, and we'd go out to some pretty nice restaurants, and we'd eat. And sometimes we'd sit there for maybe an hour after we got finished eating, just talking.
Right.
So one day I said, Brother Kilgore, I'm going to tell you how I see that you built this big, beautiful church of hundreds and hundreds, thousands members. And he said, well, how did I do it? I will tell you how I see it. I said, I've watched it over the years, many years. It never fails to happen. You could be talking to Brother Beckton, who was at that time the General Secretary of the UPC. And if a little boy come up behind, a little girl come up behind you, jerk on your coat tail, I don't care how serious that conversation was, or how deep it was with Brother Beckton or any other official, high authority or anything, the conversation was over. Your attention then was devoted to little Susie, to little Johnny. And you would make over that little child. And when he or she walked away, she'd feel like the queen of the world. And he'd feel like he was something special. And usually there'd be a line of them line up behind them, and you would take your time and devote to every one of them. Just showed your love on those little children. Well, when Sunday morning comes, guess where little Susie's going to be? Whether mommy or daddy wants to go or not, somehow or another, she's going to get to Sunday school. Well, little Susie and little Johnny would lead mom and dad to church. And that would lead grandma and grandpa, that'd lead aunts and uncles and different ones to church. Because little Susie is not going to miss Sunday school. Because she wants to go and jerk over the Kilgore's coat one more time. I said, that's how you've been able to build this big church, those little children, showing that love. And of course, they grew up in a church with the same love, from a little child up to a grown age, become parents to their, and even grandparents.
Yeah. So he served as pastor for a long time.
Long time, yeah. He went there in 1954, I believe it was.
Oh, wow. So at least 2 to 3 generations he was there.
Yeah. I'll never forget. In fact, that was the same general conference that he was at, where Brother Glass preached a message. I forget the name of it. And he turned to his wife and said, God is calling us to Houston, Texas. What would you say if we sold a car, sold everything we had, put it in missions, sold everything they had, all their possessions, sold it, gave it to missions, and moved to Houston, Texas. At that time, they were pastoring in Paris, Texas. So they come to Houston with nothing, sold everything they had, gave it to missions, and they come to Houston for nothing, with nothing. And And so that was the beginning of that. They were there a long time until he finally turned the church over to his son, Jimbo Kilgore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, about that time, just before that time, I had already moved out here.
Right. Did you serve with him in that church, or were you just?
I was his elder.
Oh, okay.
And I was also a Sunday school teacher, and also I had in charge of the young married class.
Oh, okay.
And also I was at crises, head of the crisis department. Everybody had a crisis
Mm-hmm.
in their family or personal. I was the one that Brother Kilgore sent them to.
Sister Marie, do you remember being part of the Life Tabernacle?
Well, sure. I was a Sunday school teacher.
Oh, okay.
Children's
so you were
church
serving there
teacher.
too?
Yeah, I taught children's church and Sunday school.
Oh, okay.
It's a funny thing I'll tell you about her.
Uh-huh.
Some of those kids, when it comes time to be promoted
Mm-hmm.
to the next class, they don't want to go.
They didn't want to leave.
Oh, my.
They'd cry and
You were a
beg.
favorite
and
teacher.
The parents would come. You can't. They want to stay here.
Yeah, you don't promote them. They want to stay there as Sister Strange class.
Yeah,
I'd take all my class to another room because it was bigger.
right.
And by the time it was over, you wouldn't believe how many parents were sitting up there. They wanted to hear too.
What age group were you teaching?
From first grade to 12th grade.
Oh, all the way through? Okay.
I had them
So
all
they
the
had
way
you
through.
bouncing around from
Yeah.
different age groups?
Yeah.
Okay. But when they went to another age group and you were staying in the younger age group, they were upset.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
pretty upset.
No, the
They didn't
little
wanna
fellas,
get-
they didn't want to get promoted.
They didn't want to get promoted at all.
But you had to see them off because they have to grow up.
Yeah,
They had
that's
to
right.
mature. One of the reasons that you wrote in this book, for the purpose of this book, is you wrote, you have a strong desire to see the growth of faith among all who may be in need of miracles of deliverance, healing, finances, or any other difficult circumstances, that without a divine miracle, the situation would be hopeless.
Yeah.
Can you expound upon that, about the reasons for this book?
Well, yeah, because for instance, in the area of finances,
Mm-hmm.
when I retired, I counted on so much money coming in every month, and I had an agreement with someone with so much money, which would be my retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it didn't work out, and I was left just without enough money to pay my bills,
Yeah.
because that was pretty substantial. And I prayed, didn't know what to do, didn't know what to say, or nothing I could do, or nothing I could say. They're gone,
Mm-hmm.
vanished away. And I was really in need of some money. I went to the mailbox, and it was a letter there from somebody I didn't even know. The name was Adriana Rodriguez.
Hmm.
I didn't know anybody named Adriana Rodriguez. And so I opened the letter, and she said how much she appreciated me. She felt led to insert this check. I looked at it. I started crying. I come home and walked in the back there where Marie was. I said, "Look at this. Somebody sent me $2,000.
Yeah.
That time it was a lot of money, and more than took care of everything I needed.
Mm-hmm.
From that point on, see, God spoke to me and said, I am your source. That you depended on for your retirement, not your source. I am your source. And so that refocused me there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what promises anybody makes to me. He is my source. Of course, I get Social Security now that I'm almost 82.
Mm-hmm.
And you might say, materially, that's my source. No. With Social Security or without Social Security, that's not my source. My source is from Him who provides, Jehovah Jireh.
Amen.
He's my source. Social Security will fold up tomorrow, but heaven is not going to fold up tomorrow. God's riches is not going to, God is not going to go bankrupt tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
He's still my source, our source. And so, little by little, I've learned, let my entire trust be upon Him. And I didn't know where I was going to get the money to. I felt led to conduct a tent crusade in a certain city, and I didn't have enough money for it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone drove all the way from Madison, Mississippi, and met me at my daughter's home in Fort Worth and brought a $10,000 check to me.
Wow.
More than enough to take care of the advertising and various things I needed, put up my tent crusade. And I had money left over, a good bit of money left over, and I've been able to buy some equipment with it and various things. So many times these things happen to me. I was out on the field one time, and a lot of expenses out there. Had a crew that went with me, played music, and put up the tent, drove the truck, various things, and of course it's paying them and renting auditoriums, various things, a lot of expenses. And so I'll never forget, I went to a church in South West Louisiana
Mm-hmm.
to preach. And a businessman came up to me after church and said, "Brother Strange, here's my checkbook. God told me to give you my checkbook, that you write out a check for what you needed." I shut one eye and I looked at that dude and said, "You just don't know." And so, Lord, lead me. You know what I need. I wrote 1, 0, 0, and 0, and another 0. I handed it to him. He swallowed real hard and said, "That, praise God, that's exactly what I thought it was going to be." He signed it. I was going to come home the next morning, but instead I stayed there and went straight to his bank. And it was a good check.
Was that 4 zeros?
Yeah, 4 zeros.
Wow. Another 10,000.
So I was able to pay my bills, catch up on my bill.
Yeah. One of the reasons, Sister Marie, because you asked, what are we going to do, that I wanted to do what I'm doing with you right now is because I read this and it jumped out at me. Your husband wrote in the preface of his book, "After I pass on into eternity, it will not be permissible to return to this life for the purpose of giving God the glory due to Him. It is my earnest hope and sincere desire that these true stories will inspire all who read them to trust Him more than ever." For whatever reason, I don't know if people are reading the book. So I wanted to kind of help in you kind of fulfilling and leaving this legacy. Because I think that your life, as I've come to know it over the years, is a tremendous legacy that I don't want to go into the annals of time being unremembered. I want it to be remembered. I feel that it could be in the Hebrews chapter 11 Hall of Faith, as an excerpt or an addendum to that. You spoke here, and this is what I want to give you the opportunity, because you said your pastor was Pastor Kilgore and Pastor Mangum, and I know you know many other names. But you said here, "It has been my highest honor to have the opportunity it's been my highest honor to have been in the company with some of the greatest men, to have walked upon the earth since the days of the apostles, and to have been instructed by them. Could you touch upon that and tell us people that you have been under and things that you have learned? I'll probably bring some others up later, but I just want to give you the opportunity to just talk about that comment that you made.
Well, of course, I received the baptism of the Holy Ghost in 1947, and the evangelist was W. Gammon, Earl Gammon.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot from him in regards to faith. But the man that baptized me was George L. Glass. That name is well known.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd listened to his preaching. He has such great wisdom in so many areas. And he's really helped me throughout my lifetime, younger lifetime, with some of the preaching that he has preached. And if you haven't heard him preach, I would recommend anybody to search out his preaching. You might be able to find some on YouTube.
Mention his name again?
George L. Glass.
George L. Glass. Okay. Just want to make sure everybody hears it on the podcast.
And as a matter of fact, I'll give you a copy of a DVD.
Okay.
That he preached. It made a tremendous impact upon me. And the name of that message, he preached there at Light Tabernacle, where I was an elder.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. And he preached a message entitled, God Gives Every Man an Equal Chance. That message would grab you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And I have given a lot of CDs away to different people. And so it'll get a hold of you. That message will get a hold of you. If you let it just play out all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I gave another one the other day. I'm still giving them out. He preached some of the greatest preaching you've ever heard in Apostolic Pentecost.
Mm-hmm.
George L. Glass Sr. And of course, there's been a lot of people that's had my boyhood pastor, G.A. Mangan, had a tremendous impact on my life. He was apostolic to the core of his bones,
mm-hmm.
down to the marrow of his bones. Strong apostolic, uncompromising, strong in faith, be yet tender in love. Now, I'm kind of an aberrant. I'm kind of an odd fellow.
Peculiar?
Might even say strange.
Strange?
Because I heard a man on the radio one time. This is right after I come back from Vietnam. And he was singing a song, Sold Out. I'm sold out to follow the Lord. It may cost me all I own to walk with Jesus all alone, but I'm sold out to follow the Lord. He'd play his guitar and he'd cry on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sold out to follow Jesus. And I don't care what mistakes he made in latter life. That's beside the point. And I don't want to even mention it. And I don't know anything about it personally. But I know that got a hold of me. And I had to get acquainted with that ministry. He had a large tent ministry. And I've seen that man fast, and I see him pray all night long. And I watched his life very carefully. He was a holiness preacher, and he was a Jesus name preacher. Although he'd been in the Assemblies of God, later in the Church of God, and finally he just got sick of all those denominations, every one of them. As I have become sick of them too. And But I started following him. In fact, I went to a meeting in Mobile, Alabama. Huge tent there. People, thousands of people packed out that tent. He come to me and asked me if I'd like to work for him. And I said yes. So I have been criticized about it a lot, but I walked away from my whole family, trusting God.
Completely left us. Completely left us.
I was sold out to.
You mean you were already married?
Had children.
You already had children?
5 children.
And you did what?
He
I
left
walked away.
us.
I walked away.
He left us
But I
completely.
knew that God was going to take care of him, and he did, miraculously. And that's another area of story altogether.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that man had such a tremendous impact. He preached 3 times a day, sometimes for 2 or 3 hours at a time. And I've seen him preach so hard he passed out on the platform, they have to pack him out. He was so given over to God. And then pray all night long, too. I never seen anybody like him.
What was his name?
Well, I really don't want to, because he later
Oh, okay, no problem.
made mistakes in his life, so I understand.
Gotcha.
And I could be criticized for having followed him.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever mistakes he made in life later on, I gathered so much from him
Mm-hmm.
in the area of faith, healing, miracles, and things like that.
So
I saw
principles
the
of
most
faith,
incredible
healing,
thing.
and miracles. Okay.
Yeah, I saw the most incredible things. But before I met him, though, when I came back from Vietnam, I was really hungry
Mm-hmm.
to be in church. There was no church anywhere. This is February 1967. But I heard about a midwinter camp meeting going on in Miracle Valley, Arizona. I said, I want to go to that camp meeting. Now, I had enough money to put down payment on a house. It was in the checkbook. And so I want to save every penny that I could. I had determined to hitchhike all the way from New Orleans, where my parents was, to Miracle Valley, Arizona. Save that every dollar, every penny. Because I wanted to have something to put in the offering too.
Mm.
And so my parents heard about it. She said, oh no, you buy a bus ticket. You're not going to hitchhike all the way out of there. So to make them happy, I just bought a ticket to Baton Rouge. At least they could see me get on the bus. When I got to Baton Rouge, I got out on a highway and started hitchhiking. So hungry for God.
Mm.
So hungry. And I want to tell people something. They're not hungry for God. Don't expect to get anything. Don't expect to get anything. But when that insatiable, that driving hunger gets a hold of you, you're going to get something from God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hitchhiked out there, and I'll never forget. I got out there in New Mexico on that desert, and it was the wind blowing. It's freezing cold. Must have been 40 below zero. Of course, I'm exaggerating now, but and I didn't have a whole lot of clothes on, warm clothes. And there was a train depot right there beside the highway, and I get behind that depot, and I was trying to stay warm as I could. Late at night, and I could hear a car coming miles before it got there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd get out there with my thumb and I'd get ready. And sure enough, after a while, I'd see the headlights coming, they get closer and closer, and then pass me by.
Mm-hmm.
And so there they went. I get behind that train depot again and just wait. After a while, here come, and I got up there and wait for them. And it was a bus loaded, it was a Volkswagen bus loaded down with a bunch of hippies, all on marijuana.
Oh, no.
I didn't care. They had that Volkswagen bus filled up with smoke. And so one of them says, can you drive? I said, yeah, I can drive. This time I'm getting high. And so I got over there behind the steering wheel while the rest of them got in and was asleep. And I put the pedal down to the metal. I mean, I made that Volkswagen engine scream. I got on down the highway now. But I got to Miracle Valley, Arizona. And so they was on their way to Los Angeles, I believe. But I turned off the Route 66 and went on down to Miracle Valley. And I got out and said, thank you for the ride. They said, where are we? I said, well, Route 66 is about so many, I forget, a bunch of miles back up that way. I said, well, what are we doing down here? I said, well, I mean, I knew where I was going. I didn't know where y'all was going. So thank you for the ride. I got there. But oh my, I got so much out of that meeting. Mm-hmm. Brother Allen was a supernatural minister.
Brother Allen?
A. Allen.
I think I've seen that at offers.
A. Allen. Okay. And I saw the most incredible miracles.
Yeah.
I saw arms grow out. I saw short legs grow out. I saw blind eyes. I mean, no sight at all, just a white eye.
Really?
And God create a pupil in that eye.
Wow.
Well, let me back that up a little bit. I saw Ronald Cohen and how he lost his entire eye. Lost his entire eye.
Is that our phone?
Yes. Yeah. Just a socket there.
You want me to go get it? Or?
Yeah, well, you can't if you want to.
Can you answer?
But he could read and see out of that.
Can you answer, Rayford?
They can hear.
What phone is it?
So
we'll pause right there and get back to this story. All right, so you were talking about a blind eye.
Yeah.
Then something got reconstructed.
Brother Ronald Cohen.
There you go. That's the name.
He had a splinter get in his eye, and he lost his eyeball. They had to take the whole eyeball out. But yet I saw the man tape up his good eye, and he could just see perfectly out of that just blank hole, that socket. And that was so phenomenal that he was featured on ABC News, and he demonstrated that he could see, and science says that's impossible. And so anyway, in that meeting with Brother Allen, I saw so many great miracles, and it just did something for my faith. I know that if God can work like that and does work like that under A. Allen tent, he'll work like that under my tent. And he did. God showed up and did some of the most miraculous things you can imagine.
So that's how God thrusted you into a ministry of your own, where you were moving in those supernatural things.
That's right. That first fellow I was talking about, whose name I didn't mention, he did an awful lot. And of course, I used to listen to William Branham a lot. Okay.
I know that. I've heard that name.
Now, he really inspired me to believe God. And I would listen to his tapes and just stay up and cry and pray all night long. So much love.
When we first got married, he never slept. He stayed up listening to those tapes and praying. And praying. And then he'd get up and go to work.
Let me ask you this, because I want to go back to this, because, our podcast, we there's a lot of teachings going on, but we also do testimonies of sharing our lives. So I want to go back to this because it makes it really impactful. You said you came back from Vietnam, and you said you had a hunger for God.
Oh, my.
That led you to actually leave your wife and your kids and all of that stuff. So my question is, what caused you? What was going on in your life that just caused you to hunger in an insatiable way?
That had to be a sovereign work of God in my own heart.
So God just
something
birthed it in
completely apart from me.
Right.
But now, that wasn't, when I went to Miracle Valley, Arizona, that wasn't the time I left the family. That was later when I got acquainted with this other minister.
Okay.
And I left my family. But this time I got out to Miracle Valley, Arizona, and I got to started giving offerings, and until finally I gave away all the money I had for my down payment on my home.
And yet you've owned multiple homes in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sister Marie, how was it for you when he just left? Pursuing after God?
It was hard. I had.
Were you in agreement with it?
5 children.
But were you like in agreement with it in the moment? Or you were like, are you sure about this, Rayford?
I never tried to stop him, did I, Rayford?
No.
I
she
never tried to stop him.
But she was hesitant about all that, you know.
Okay, so you were. I mean, I'm thinking this is because this is
troubled.
real life. This is.
I was troubled.
Okay.
What am I going to do? Yeah, I was troubled.
So, you know.
But I didn't try to stop him.
When I left, then I'd come home whenever I could.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget one time I come home and she was crying. She'd gone to work at a restaurant or something or other, and she had a girl that would babysit the children while she was working. And she told me about some man was really in pursuit of her.
Mm-hmm.
And just won't leave me alone. And so I said, well, honey, you won't have to worry about him no more. This is like Friday night or Saturday, something like that. I said, he'd be dead before Monday morning. She went to work Monday evening,
mm-hmm.
and the word got to her that he was killed in a car accident.
Wow.
You won't have to worry about him no more. He'll be dead Monday morning. Or he'll be dead Monday.
Do you know why you said that?
No, it just
came out.
But the man wouldn't leave me alone. He wanted me to commit adultery. He wouldn't leave me alone. He promised me all kinds of stuff.
That's like a 21st century story of Abraham lying to the Pharaoh about his wife and only saying, well, she's like my sister. She's my sister. But yet she was actually his wife, and God intervening and giving, him a dream and saying, what are you doing with this man's wife?
Yeah.
And so God intervened and took care of the situation. Wow.
Yeah. So I began to learn a whole lot about the spoken word ministry. I learned a lot about that from Brother Branham.
Okay.
And so there's power in creation in your word. That's why God told me a long time ago, watch your words. You be careful with your words. You don't speak foolishly and carry on like that. I see preachers get together and they joke and carry on and all that stuff all the time. They're polluting the word. And so God told me a long time ago, said, you be careful with your words. And I mean, he was really serious.
Mm-hmm.
And so one day, our little grandson, Matthew, was here, and his dad and I were going to go to town. We was in the truck, and he was going to follow us to town with his little bicycle. And so he was following us on down the road there, and we just let him go, thinking he'd stop and go back any moment. But he didn't. He was determined to catch up and keep up with us, going to town on his bicycle, following us. Finally, I got out and said, Matthew, lay your bicycle over there, and we'll get it when you come back. No, grandfather, no, the bears would get my bicycle. I said, Matthew, the bears won't get your bicycle. Yeah, grandfather, the bears will get my bicycle. I said, Matthew, no, the bears will not get your bicycles. The rabbits will protect your bicycle.
And that was good enough for him.
And so that was good enough for him. We got him went on to town. But now listen, you seldom ever see a rabbit. Now, we got them out here. But hardly ever will you see a rabbit. You see a rabbit, you'd have to go hunting for one. And doubtful you'd see one then.
Yeah.
But we went on to town, got back, and that bicycle was surrounded with rabbits.
They were watching his bicycle.
Matthew will never forget that.
He'll never forget that.
So another example of the power of the creative word.
Another example. And so I've seen that over the years,
But it's not like the Lord told you.
No.
You just sort of just spoke it out in the moment.
Just spoke it, Why God said, you be careful your words. Don't pollute your words. Your words become my words, or my words become your words.
Thus is the ministry of our Father's heart through us. Our utmost desire is to be in the Father's heart, to know the Father's heart, and express the Father's heart to you. If you appreciate listening to this podcast and were blessed, pass it along to someone else by text, email, or word of mouth in the hopes that they might be positively impacted as you were. If you are interested in supporting our efforts, we would ask you to consider the following. 1, pray for us. 2, leave a positive rating or review with whomever you listen to our podcast with. And 3, if you desire to contribute monetarily, you can do so at paypal.me/JBenJesus or Cash App $JBenJesus or Venmo JBenJesus. That's JBenJesus. God bless.